Welcome to this episode of the 413 Strong podcast. I'm your host, Doug, and we're going to talk about some popular freebie routines. Many of them I tried, like 531, the Texas Method, Strong Lifts, Mad Cow. Have you ever heard of Mad Cow? We're going to talk about them and what I learned. Now, I'm going to start off by saying today's been a weird day. I'm going live like an hour and 20 minutes later than I normally do. I got to the gym at 8 o'clock this morning. Kids went back to school, so I got them ready, dropped them off, headed to the gym, and I had this like little headache forming, but I was sipping I was having some caffeine, like that'll knock it out, because I felt good all morning. And I got to the gym, I did my first set, or first working set after warming up, and it was like, man, this headache was building up over my eyebrow. And with lat pull downs, I was okay. Then I went into a rowing movement, and it was a chest supported row, and I was slightly leaned forward. And just that pressure leaning forward, man, it just like intensified, and I got nauseous. I had to peace out. And I just want to remind you guys, sometimes like my shirts say, it is about progress, not perfection. Don't beat yourself up for taking a step back. I talk to a lot of people, especially the guys that want to do something super hardcore, and they want to be, it's more about, sometimes I almost think more about doing something difficult and hard than it is about the result. And like, you got to be good to yourself. And finishing that workout nauseous and with the headache, would that have made a difference in my goal, which is, to get back on stage and compete in bodybuilding? No. Like, one workout isn't going to make you, but it can break you. And so I hung it up. I got some volume in. My app told me I lifted 11 narwhals or something. It basically is 22,000 pounds of volume, which is about half of what it normally been. So basically a deload workout, better than nothing. But I also want to say, man, I feel like there are more distractions than ever. How do you guys feel about 2024? Like, there's just so much out there to grab our attention. And I'm like, and with the introduction of AI, like, full disclosure, I have an AI tab I keep open, and I use it instead of Google. Just gotta enjoy it because it reads me back. I like one called Inception. His name is Pi, but I've trained it. I call it Alfred, and he calls me Batman. And I like to ask it questions, get some ideas, check my thinking. Hey, can you reword this for me? And I'm just like, this is crazy. Where does it go from here? You ever thought about that? Like, where does it go from here? But speaking of distractions, I was thinking about how a lot of us get programmed ADD sometimes, and we want to hop around program to program. So I wanted to talk about some of my experiences I've had with some popular programs. At least if someone says popular free programs, this is what I think of first, because when I first started lifting in the gym, free programs meant like what was in Muscle and Fitness. Jay Cutler's arm workout, Like, I'm not a huge Jay Cutler fan necessarily, like, as far as like being a fan of his physique. I think he looks like a muscular guy that got stung by a bee and had a bad reaction. It's just like spilled over. It's too much. But I like Jay Cutler because he's nostalgic. That was who was winning the Olympias and on the magazine covers when I first started to the gym, And these routines that we're going to talk about were popular when I was, trying to kind of branch away from like the bodybuilder magazine workouts and get into some of these routines. And these are strength routines, but you got to understand 2015, 2014, all the natural bodybuilders were doing these strength routines. Like Brian Hawthorne. I don't know if you guys know who Brian Hawthorne is, and I hope I said this. Yeah, Brian Hawthorne. Awesome natural bodybuilder. Won WNBF Worlds as a middleweight, I believe it was. Maybe he was lightweight. I think he was middleweight. He's a professor at Oklahoma State, I want to say. And anyway, the guy just has an incredible physique, but he didn't do it by bodybuilding, like going in and hitting a ton of arms. Like, he could deadlift a house. He's super strong, deadlifts, squats, presses, and all this was going around, and a lot of this helped shape, you know, who I was and my philosophies lifting, and that's developed 413 Barbell Club. Just being a fan of these old school kind of routines and power building. I don't think of Mike O'Hearn when someone says power building. I think of the old school guys because they were the original power builders. You know, Reg Park was strong, the first man to deadlift 500 or bench press 500 pounds naturally. Guys like that, super inspiring to me. And so, to make a long story short, the year was 2012. I was about to get married. I had no intention of ever bodybuilding or competing in bodybuilding. So like, when you don't compete in bodybuilding, you have certain events in life that you use as your quote unquote show. You're peaking and prepping for this event. And so obviously your wedding, you kind of want to peak for it. So I crushed it summer of 2012 and developed a pretty gnarly case of elbow tendonitis doing so. So I took some time off, and in my time off I did some research, and I was like, okay, what I was doing was at some point overtraining. At some point I crossed the line from the volume I could recover from. And so I started learning about some of these programs that other people were doing. And the first thing I learned was through studying Arnold Schwarzenegger. His mentor was Reg Park. And the way Reg Park trained was so different than any other bodybuilder. 3 days per week, full body, compound lifts. I mean, Reg's like beginning program he recommended to people was 3 lifts. Like bench press, deadlift, and squat, or overhead press, barbell rows, and squat. Like alternate those days. Like, wow, this is crazy. And so, I was learning more, going down, and like these were 5x5 workouts recommended by Reg Park, and I found, down this rabbit hole, that there were many people kind of reinventing that wheel a little bit, putting their own spin on it. One guy, this was the first guy I ran into, and we're getting into it now. His name was Mehdi. I don't know Mehdi's last name, but he's the owner of Strong Lifts. And basically what Mehdi did was took Reg Park's principles and philosophies and just stuck his name on top of it. Mehdi was this short little European guy, very scrawny, but he started squatting, deadlifting, bench pressing, overhead pressing, barbell rowing. He said he didn't train arms, he only did dips and chin-ups sometimes if he had the energy for it. And he developed a good physique. He had abs, never trained abs. He had muscular arms. His thing was, hey man, you want bigger arms? Try holding that 600-pound bar when you deadlift. You want bigger shoulders? You think you're gonna have small shoulders holding 600 pounds on your back when you squat? That was his philosophy. And I tried Strong Lifts just to kind of reset myself. I was like, I can't lift much. I'm gonna start with the bar. I went into the Cloudland High School, I was coaching basketball. I went into the Cloudland High School weight room with the football team lifting. First time I'd lifted in like 6 weeks. And I've got like the tendonitis straps on my elbows. And I go in there and I walk into the squat rack and everybody looks at me because I still had a good amount of muscle on me from the summer. And everybody, this anticipation, what's Odom going to put on the bar? I just start squatting the empty bar. They thought I was crazy. Like, how are you like jacked? And these are like 15, 16-year-old kids. Like, how are you so jacked, but you're only working out with the bar? Like, they thought I had some kind of secret. And I'm like, no. I literally, my tendons hurt so bad, it even hurts holding the bar like this, an empty bar. And anyway, I worked myself up to, eventually, adding 5 pounds every week with Strong Lifts, and kind of shifted into a different kind of routine, more like what Reg Park did. But here's my take on strong lifts. I would not recommend it for a beginner. I would recommend a beginner just does some kind of simple bodybuilding style routine, gets a little muscle, and then transitions into strong lifts. Because most people's goal isn't just to be strong. Most people's goal is to burn fat and build muscle. And you're not going to do that as much only training 3 days per week with only 3 exercises. Now, yeah, it's super intense. You're going heavy. But most people are going to do better and not injure themselves on something else. Now, if you do want to get strong, you do want to kind of go down the old school path, I would recommend strong lifts for maybe like 6 months. But that's only if you're set up well to squat, only if you can handle this kind of intensity and volume. And so a lot of people can't, and in full disclosure, I couldn't because I'm not set up well to squat. And to be honest, doing like a 5x5 kind of program really kind of set me back as far as progress a few years. Now let's talk about another program I tried sometime after strong lifts, because Mehdi had said he had graduated from his own strong lifts program and he was currently doing 5-3-1. So I went down that rabbit hole. I was like, what's 5-3-1? It's a program where 1 week you work up to, and there's several different variations. You working up to 3 sets of 5. The next week you do 3 sets of 3, and of course this isn't counting warm-ups. And then the third week you do a set of 5, then you do a set of 3, and then you do your one top set of 1. And then week 4 you deload. And the next month it resets. So it's 5-3-1. Week 1's 5 3x5. Week 2 is 3x3. Week 3 you go 3-2-1. So very low rep ranges here. You know, even doing a 1 rep max in the third week. And the goal is like whatever load you did 3x3 with, the next month you'll probably be doing 5x5 with that load. So there's that progressing every month. It's slower progression because you're more advanced. And there's all kinds of templates with it where you can swap in arms and shoulders and more volume. And I tried that a while and I saw decent progress. It was slower progress, of course, but I wanted that because I was still kind of recovering from my injury. And what I noticed, it was just such low volume. Like I would do a set of 3 and the 3x3 week, and it's like you have this little window to stimulate your muscles fully. And if the reps just felt okay, you only had 3 sets of 3. So you had 9 attempts to make it count. And it was like the quality just didn't feel there, even though there was an opportunity absolutely to focus on quality over quantity. And I didn't do 5-3-1 very long. I didn't like it at all. Now I'm going to be honest, this next program was my favorite of all the free routines. The name definitely stuck out to me, and I found out about it because Mehdi from Strong Lift said he was doing this program, had done this program. It was called Mad Cow 5x5. Now, with Mad Cow, it was also 3 days per week, and you would do 1 top set. So it was 5x5 training, but it would be like a warm-up set, and then a warm-up number 2, warm-up number 3, warm-up number 4, leading you up to boom. And I say warm-up, I might be warming up with 300 pounds, but it's ramping up to this top set. And when I would hit, 275 for a set of 5 on squats on Monday, the goal on Friday was to do a top set of 3, 5 pounds heavier. So it'd be 280 for a set of 3 Friday. Next week, Monday, remember how I did 280 for 3 on Friday? I'm going to do 280 for 5 Monday. And so every week, there's this progression for squats, bench press, and deadlifts. Those 3 exercises. And for overhead press and for barbell rows as well. And Wednesday was just like this light kind of back off day. Actually, I think Wednesday's when I did rows and presses. And I would slap some arms at the end of the workout Friday, since I just worked up to one set of 3. Now, it was fun. That was the program I had the most fun on, because the progression was weekly, so better than monthly. I could push myself a little bit more. I made me a sheet and printed out my weekly goals, so I felt very focused and in line with the vision. But again, what if you're not set up well to squat? Well, these programs, like, you're not going to go to the leg press instead of the squat and do 5 reps. Just some exercises work better in higher rep ranges. And while a squat can be fine in, for a set of 3 or set of 5 for some people, it just hurt my back, and I just had issues, and it wasn't a form issue. Like, I've had people look at me and like, your form's great, you just have long legs relative to your upper body. And it's not a height thing. You can be 7 foot tall and your relative length of your torso to your femurs can be balanced. But you can be 5'2", but if your torso is shorter compared to your legs, you kind of have a frog build. When you squat, you're going to lean over. And that puts a lot of pressure on your back, and it results in your back giving out before your quads do. So even if I squatted for the rest of my life and never got hurt again, it's still a poor exercise choice for me and my build, because my back was always the limiting factor in what tired out, not my quads. And that's just even if I never got hurt. Now, when you consider getting hurt once every 6 or 8 weeks like I was doing, you take 3 steps forward, you take 3 steps back. You take 3 steps forward, oops, I really hurt my back this time. You take 4 steps back. It's very frustrating to make progress like this. And some people are just built like a tank, like Reg Park. Some people can handle that. Some of you maybe do powerlifting, and you have to do those lifts because you have to bench, deadlift, and squat at your competition. But if you're not a power lifter, don't just trap yourself into these lifts and do these programs like strong lifts, like 5-3-1, like Mad Cow. You'd be better off with something that fits your body and fits your goals, because most of you, the goal isn't to get as strong as possible. It's fun to do that, and I think everybody should incorporate some sort of strength block at times, just to shift to more of a performance-focused workout rather than weight loss, muscle gaining, all the other things we train for. But ultimately, I think Mad Cow, strong lifts, 5-3-1, all that stuff is slightly overrated. It's better than doing random bodybuilding workouts out of a magazine, because it does focus on progression. You go in each week with a goal. I'm supposed to do this load, this workout, and you think about it, and you get excited, and you have that vision. So while it's better than some things, it's still way less optimal than going in with an approach that works for you. And that's what I hear so many guys say is like, I don't know what works for me. My workouts have been spotty. I'm trying all this different stuff. And I just wanted to say, there is something out there for you. There is something that will work for you. All of us have different amounts of volume that we can handle. And when you talk about, so what's the best workout routine, Doug? All a workout routine is taking the amount of volume your body needs and spreading it across your schedule, whatever it may be. If you can work out 5 days a week, let's do it. If that's realistic for you and you enjoy it. If you can only work out 2 days per week, we need to take that volume and somehow fit it into 2 days. And one of my clients, Ronnie, told me this. We're familiar with bro splits, like chest on Monday, back on Tuesday, shoulders. He's on a program and been on programs where maybe each day has a focus. But even on a leg day, we may throw in some lateral raises because he needs more shoulder volume. And he calls this a gentleman split versus a bro split. And I thought that was an awesome name. So maybe you need a gentleman split. because you need more volume in one body part, we're just going to throw it in on another day. And it's kind of unorthodox and something people wouldn't normally do. If there's a program out there for you, if you want help, just send me a message, and I'd love to have a chat with you about, more of my experiences. I can open up more, and I'd like to learn about your experiences and what it is you're looking for. Excuse me. Now, I wanted to say this for the local people, Appalachian Highlands, Tri-Cities, whatever you want to call it. A week from Saturday, the January 20th, I'm going to be live, and we're wrapping up here. I'm going to be at Tri-Cities Fit Fest in booth number 33. I'm going to have something there, a free resource that many of you will be excited about. I'm also going to be doing a seminar, Ditch Your Dad Bod, and I'm also going to be hosting a bodybuilding posing class. Now, maybe you're like, Doug, I'm not doing that bodybuilding stuff. But listen, if you care about growing muscle, you need to learn how to engage your muscles. And so this class isn't about teaching you to pose so you can get up in spandex in front of a capacity crowd of 57 people at a natural bodybuilding show. No, this is about, oh, what's up, Aaron? I see you laughing. This is about learning to engage your back muscles on a back double bicep. So when you're doing lat pull downs, something clicks, you can actually grow your back instead of moving the weight from point A to point B. It's about learning to flex your biceps and a front double biceps. So when you're doing curls, your focus is improved. So I'm really excited to do this bodybuilding class. And who knows, maybe some of you will decide to, get at least put on the board shorts, maybe not the spandex, but get up and compete. Because natural bodybuilding's a fun sport, and it's a good community to be a part of. But appreciate you guys for tuning in. And we're going to hop off here and get something to eat. It's been a busy day today. I'm going to edit some more content. But we'll be live again Wednesday, guys. Appreciate you tuning in.